Hello and welcome. This is Alchemistexe, and this is the banner overview for the week of March 31st, April Fool's Day event. We finally got the Ratharis trio, as was predicted, because it was an April Fool's event in Japan too. Great event, by the way. I really enjoyed the dialogue and the humor, as bothersome as this game can be sometimes when it comes to community and stuff. I mean, on their end, not on our end. We're great people. The writers occasionally just really make me smile, and this was one of those moments. And as an added bonus, you get to pick one of them for free and get a free copy of the memento. So if you don't want to spend any gems, you can definitely get yourself a fully maxed Ratharis unit. Most people pick Neville, as did I. But I'll go into a little more detail about that process, because there's a lot of soul shards to be had of them. So there's multiple options for people that maybe want to go for more than one. So let's take a look at the banners first. So first paid banner is good if you really are into the Ratharis trio. That's all I got to say about that. This one I think is okay. Good style of banner, but the scarcity range is too high for me. Like narrow, great. Zwei, less great. And I just think it's not worth the risk. And then this one I just wouldn't even touch. And then there's one for gears. We pay 3k and they'll all appear in 5-star form, and you can redraw up to 3 times. If there's gotcha gears you need, it's good, but like, how often do you really need that when most of the time VCRs will get the job done, and selectors, that kind of thing. So we've got a 9-step for the Ratharis trio that'll give you a bunch of the coins. So if you only want to get one of them, then you're covered. When we look at the shop, you'll see you can get max shards to enlighten one without spending any gems. So no reason to do that. However, if you want more than one, then this is the way to go. You can get the selector at the end, and the combination of the vouchers and the coins will give you a bunch of shards to work with. Then there are 2 very excellent banners that are the exact same style. One is for mementos and one is for units. This is the unit one, and this is the memento. If you were playing during the anniversary, around that time, there's one with the exact same structure. It's pretty great. The amount increases each time, and starting from step 5, you can get one guaranteed limited per set. So great way to round out a roster either of units or of mementos. I think if you have to pick one of them, the mementos are a little bit better, especially if you're getting duplicates of ones that you want max limit break, but not quite enough to use reliefs on them. So overall, very good value there. There's a Limit Break Festival, which, these are not a terrible banner style, just kind of overshadowed. If you're looking to unload discount tickets, though, because you can't use them on the 10-step ones, this could be a good option. Although this could be a good option, too, if you are really about the Ratharis units, just because it's fairly cheap. You could get one copy for 1,500 gems if you got the discount tickets for it, so that could be great if you want to have it at max limit break. The max limit break bonus is pretty decent. It varies for which unit it affects. Like Neville gets a really big agility boost because he can stack it on top of the other agility boost from max limit breaking it. So I think that's pretty great. And then some of the other banners are around, like narrow. If you want 25 narrow shards and you have all your discount tickets, you could do that. If you're like kind of trying to transmute her a bit at a time, that could work, as well as the memento for them is still around as well. And this is also a pretty excellent banner as far as the pool goes. So yeah, that is all I have got for the banners. Now let's take a look at the shop and see what you can get for the Ratharis units. Hey, check out Soul's April Fool's skin. I think it looks alright. I'm going to switch it back to the red pants one later, but because we're in an April Fool's event, I thought it would be fun. So in the coin shop, there's going to be the April Fool's 2022 shop, and this is where all the good stuff is. So doing the maps and doing the EX, that kind of thing, that's where you'll get the coins from. I've just been auto-repeating the hell level, which, oh my god, that was such a pain. I'll go into that more later, but the selector, the memento, the gears, their weapon gears, as well as the job equipment pieces for your unique jobs, all found here, all relatively cheap coin-wise. So even if you're a relatively new player, you might need to farm the EX or the EX Plus more, but it's definitely very attainable to get all of this stuff. And then if you have time, start to go back for things like, I don't know, final acquittal stamp. And then maybe some bubbles as well. I always wonder, is that supposed to be bobble? Or is it bubble because it kind of looks like a bubble hookah thing? I honestly don't know. That's what my auto repeat is going on right now. So the vouchers that you can buy from that shop are used in this shop, and for a unit that you own, you can buy a soul shard of them 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're only going for one, pretty simple, just go all in on them. But if you're going for more than one, I would just try and get what you need as far as gates go, because the units also have their soul shard quest, where you can get 100 shards total over the course of a week. So that's something to think about. So that's just going to depend on how many of the units you get and what you're trying to get out of them. So yeah, that is about all I've got for that. So I am going to do some summoning on the Memento banner, just because I think that it is too good to pass up. And even if Shahil drops next week, I should be okay to get him, even if I end up being pretty drained on gems. So let's move on to the summon screen. Okay, so these are the summoning results. I've sped things up by 2.5 times just because I didn't want to talk for another 13 minutes on top of what has already been done. That's like the total length of this video approximately. So yeah, I've decided to burn my final discount ticket for the month on this Enlightenment banner. And then after that, just going for the 10-step on the Memento. So it's definitely going to be pretty draining, assuming that Shahil is going to come out next week, which I am, because they haven't released the updates for April. But since we usually Genesis is only it might have a month between the two when there's a part 1 and a part 2, so I'm assuming that it's going to be first thing next week. So should be good if I just transmute him. I won't have a lot of gems left over if I go first Memento, but we'll see what happens there. It's kind of also good insurance of because I'm more uneasy than I have ever been about how long the game is going to last, that having a really high amount of gems seems like less of a good idea. Although, I'm not too worried about that. There's a lot of sunk cost already, so that stuff's already gone. And even if, say they decided to close the game down in May, there'd definitely be a grieving process, but I had a lot of good times with this game, so if that happens, it happens, but I think it's too soon to say. But the Brave Frontier thing, closing, not only Brave Frontier Global, but also some of their other properties in Japan, Gumi just axed Brave Frontier. That's definitely a noteworthy event, because if I don't know how accurate, what is it called? Sensor Tower? I think it's Sensor Tower, a site that looks at revenue and some other statistics when it comes to gacha games. According to that, assuming it's reliable, Brave Frontier and Alchemist Code, I think, were closer together than Alchemist Code and, say, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, because in Global there's the regular Brave Exvius and then the Brave Exvius War of the Visions, which that's the big one for Gumi at the moment. And then Alchemist Code, and then Brave Frontier, although not for much longer. It's because that's closing down this month. So if they, they've been downsizing because I think they've just not been making as much money, and they probably need to pay out to their shareholders, that kind of thing. So once Brave Frontier is gone, I would assume that Alchemist Code Global is going to be next on the chopping block, especially if they are going to release a new game in the near future. It's just what I heard. That I don't remember because I saw a translated version of a shareholder's memo. It was available on Reddit. Should still be there. I don't remember if that mentioned the new game upcoming. That might have just been a rumor that I heard. But that, coupled with the fact that the really awesome player that has managed the wiki all this time is most likely going to be quitting soon because of how Gumi mishandled that whole situation in February, and then with the bad compensation and all that. Just the fact that, yeah, just they definitely don't appreciate the, some of the players that they have that really work towards building a good community for a game. Because if you want to make money, you need to have a community. If nobody's playing the game, nobody's spending money on the game. And a great wiki is really helpful for people that need to understand, what they can get, or sometimes they just need to reference the update history. I use the Japan update history all the time because it helps me plan for the future, which is like one of the few plus sides of being in global relative to being in Japan. Because, they get more generous prizes overall, but then we get foresight, and not having to read Japanese, I suppose, would go up there. Unless there's like a translator on Nox or something, that could maybe be worthwhile, but I don't know about that. I also don't want to have to use Nox though, because like I actually do play this game on my phone, because like when I'm commuting by train, that kind of thing, that's like why I play this game more than I play, a lot of PC games. So in other words, if this game goes down, I definitely I'm preparing myself to have a pretty big, like, sort of existential crisis. But at the same time, it's something that, is going to happen eventually. Like, that's just the nature of the game. It's just every gacha game is going to go away eventually. Even Brave Frontier, it finally happened, but it, much like life, it does end eventually. So I think enjoying the time that you're living it is more important than being worried about how it ends. And besides, let's assume that Japan lasts longer than global does. I think that's a safe assumption based on the revenue. You can always get somebody to translate the story if you feel like you're missing out. And hopefully somebody will archive it, and then that'll be a nice little bittersweet thing. But I think it's too soon to worry about that until something official is announced. But the Brave Frontier thing does have my finger on the pulse. So yeah, that is about it for this video. There's still a few little summons left, just shooting by at 2.5 speed. Another Tenosuke dupe was nice. But I think that if you've done this summon and you go through, you don't get the sprite trio from this, and you haven't used the selector yet that you can get for free, because in a few days, assuming that you've been doing all of the dailies, you'll be at 400. I think that's the best possible result. And I was reminded of that when I saw the all the clear data from the hell level. So yeah, that is about all I've got for the overview. So if you're summoning, good luck, and I will see you all next time.